Hey everyone, it's Rena Jadov here with Dr. Neal Barnard, and now we are chatting about the next chapter, which is the powerful new menu and the powerful new foods that you can eat to reverse diabetes. Hi, Dr. Neal.
Hi, good to be back with you.
So how do we get the diet started?
Okay, first of all, what is it that we're going to eat? Certain things we're going to set aside, and certain things we're going to bring in and really emphasize. The things that we want to emphasize are all those things that build those bad fats into my cells and make my insulin not work anymore. So what's that? I want to set aside the animal products and the added oils. But what do I want to emphasize? Four things: vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and legumes. Legumes, that really means beans and peas and lentils. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes. Emphasize those. Now that doesn't sound like food. Those sounds like ingredients. So the way that translates is, let's say I make spaghetti with a tomato sauce. Well, spaghetti is a grain, and the tomato is a fruit, although some people call it a vegetable. But that's, I'm combining those two. Or I could have a pasta bean dish, or beans and rice with vegetables on the side. So the idea is to use these four food groups as ingredients. And that's really the basis of the diet. We're going to talk more about this in a later program, but the way I encourage people to jump into it is to always focus on the short term. And we're going to test out different ways of eating, see how we like it, and really build confidence, as opposed to saying for the rest of your life, you're never going to have another whatever. That sounds too daunting.
Well, that's where diets fall apart, right? The moment you say to me, this is for the rest of your life, I'm going, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. No, we make it really simple. I've never seen anybody unable to do it.
You mentioned pasta, and I'm sort of blown away because I thought we were not allowed to eat a lot of the white flour or anything that might. So when you talk about pastas, could you clarify what kind of pastas are these?
Yeah, it's really shocking to people. 2003, we were funded by NIH to do a head-to-head trial of the diet I'm describing, a low-fat vegan diet, versus a conventional diet. And the low-fat vegan diet, it just won hands down. It was three times better at controlling blood sugar. And it was setting aside the animal products. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and beans were emphasized, as I mentioned earlier. And pasta is a grain, but it's made from flour. And if you take white flour and you make dough out of it, and you put yeast in it and make it rise, you're making bread.
Mm-hmm.
What you're going to discover is your blood sugar goes up. You take the same flour and you make spaghetti out of it. You don't put any yeast in it, and your blood sugar doesn't really go up very much.
Oh.
Why is that? Because when you chew the bread, all those air pockets that came from the yeast, all the bubbles in the bread, in your stomach, the stomach acids and enzymes go in your digestive tract, go in and they just digest the carbohydrate really fast. Spaghetti and other pastas, no matter how much you chew them up, it's much more dense than bread, and it just digests really slowly. So we allowed our participants to have it. Would you be better with whole grain pasta? Sure. But even with white spaghetti, it still has very little effect on blood sugar. Now, is it better al dente? Yeah. But we allow our participants to have spaghetti depending on what they put on top. That's the key.
No butter and no cheese.
No butter, the Alfredo sauce, sorry guys. The ground beef sauce, out.
Dang. Well, it's still pretty delicious though.
Oh, delicious. Well, let me tell you something. Put some fresh basil, some nice new tomatoes on there, or make, I don't know if you've had pesto sauces.
Yeah.
You really take advantage. Now, I'm not talking about cheesing it up. There are ways to make this light, delicious, out of this world. Sometimes people add beans to it. Fabulous.
I agree.
The best of the Mediterranean.
Must be lunchtime.
Yeah, you got it.
So what about volume control? When you did this particular trial, is there a certain amount of volume that you're restricting? And then, of course, the very important intermittent fasting question: do you restrict eating between certain hours?
People were, in the study that I described, people were allowed to eat as much as they want, as many times a day as they wanted. There was no limit on calories or carbohydrates at all. That's in the vegan group. Now, if in a conventional diet, where you're trying to help people to lose weight, you cut calories, they limit carbohydrates and all that kind of stuff, those people do not do as well as a person following a low-fat vegan diet with no calorie limit at all. And now the reason for that is on a vegan diet, everything you're eating is from a plant. Plants have fiber. Fiber fills you up, but it doesn't really have any calories. So your appetite is naturally turned off. And eventually you're going to say, I've had enough. And then when you measure the calories, it really wasn't that much.
I have to tell you a joke. A friend of mine did this vegan diet, and on day 3, she called me. So one of our health boot camps is a fabulous vegan program. And so she was on it, and she called me. She goes, you know, just because you're my friend, I'm telling you this, but oh my God, I cannot eat this food anymore. Like, I've stopped eating. And I couldn't stop laughing because the doctor and I who had put the program together, that had been his assertion, that the reason people lose weight and actually feel so much better is because the volume goes down, because the addictive foods like the ice creams and the cheeses are no longer in the menu. And the reason we tend to overeat so much is because of the addictive nature of some of these foods. And when you take those out, you know, like you may overindulge in a cheesy beef lasagna, but you're never going to indulge in carrots and hummus.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, and the other piece of it is that Velveeta is not from a plant. So it doesn't have any fiber. And so you get every calorie that's in it. And that's true of chicken and salmon and so forth. And so people eat these foods and they tend to overdo it because there isn't enough fiber in there to fill them up and turn off the eating drive in the brain.
what about intermittent fasting?
I fasted this morning between about 9 and 11. You can do it if you want to, it won't hurt you. But it's not part of what we do.
Okay, fantastic. What about weight control on this particular diet?
Automatic. People start losing weight on day 1. Now that's if you have weight to lose. If you're already skinny, you're not going to just blow away. But most people who have type 2 diabetes have some weight they'd like to lose. And this is a really, really effective way to do it. It's more effective than any other approach that I'm aware of because the foods naturally, because of the fiber, as I mentioned, they help the appetite center to be satisfied naturally. They also change our metabolism a little bit so that you're burning calories a little bit better than you were before.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. On our next chapter, we are going to talk about how do you test and track your progress. So we'll see you then.